The umbrella.
It's a nice little show too.
Yeah,
for
nice.
sure.
Keep everything cool.
THC pen, if anybody is inclined. It will get you high, so.
Yes. Yeah, I've been high this morning. Since this morning. Still kind of high.
I was high all day. I escaped.
I was going to make notes,
And you didn't?
but then I got high.
Did you really not make notes this week?
No, I did.
Okay. I was gonna say.
I definitely did.
Fucking legitimately turned into an Afro Man song.
Yeah.
Wholly unprepared for the cast.
Yeah.
Oh man. Boys.
Yes.
Boys will be boys.
It is.
Drop the hammer.
It's a big day, dude.
It is a big day.
It's
And It's,
fucking-
a good day for it.
I'm so stoked right now.
Yeah.
I've been jazzed since like episode 40 about this.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, I don't know, man. Probably longer than that.
Yeah.
But
And I like these milestones. Well, this is a big milestone, but I like when we do a similar pick.
yeah,
you
like
know?
a theme. The themed episodes
The
are
themed
always.
episode. There we go. I
they're-
can't think of words right now. Sorry about that. But I'm excited to see what other themes we come up with because I know we're
Oh.
all pretty creative, and I have a few ideas, and I'm sure you guys do
Oh,
too.
dude!
Yeah.
After this, we're gonna have a little melding of the minds because
Cool.
I've got an extensive idea that I want to run by y'all because
Okay.
I have something that I think would be really fun. But you guys don't get to hear it yet.
Not yet.
nerds.
Not yet.
Fucking nerds. This is Whatchu Spinnin. I'm Dorian, your host, joined by my boys, Jacob and Matt. As we kind of alluded to, today's a really big day. It's episode 50.
Jesus.
Dude, think like
That's
really
crazy to think about, man.
to really sit down and think about it. It's kind of insane.
It is.
That went by pretty quick, like super fast.
Mhm. Even with like us having to take time off for
Uh-huh.
various things, it's we're right in line. If you really think about it, because we started this in March of last year, and 52 weeks.
Right.
We're like a couple months out of that, but
Mhm.
but we've been consistent. I don't know how to word it, but I'm kind of like surprised. I was like, I didn't know, when I started or when I brought this idea and everything, and we kind of started it. I was like, I don't know how long this is gonna last. This could just be like a fuck around thing for 5 episodes.
Yeah.
And now we've done that 10 times over. So thank you, boys, for always being down, or for being down and to still do this, and for always bringing the heat, and for bringing damn good music. We've got some
Yes.
incredible shit to talk about today. It's episode 50 of Whatchu Spinnin, the instrumental edition, part 2. We'll be getting into that here in a little bit. But we're going to do a little get to know us kind of deal real quick.
Getting to know you.
Yeah. Episode 50, like I said, big milestone ep. Figured we've kind of, told a little bit, about why certain albums made us bring them up, that kind of
Ooh,
vibe.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
we got to ask the burning questions. But,
Yeah, no, it's 50 episodes, man. That, just to think about, it's been that long that we've been ongoing. It's like 50 weeks, like weekends. We've been doing this now. It's fucking crazy, man. Like we've stuck it out the whole time. We've gotten auditions, had guests, all this other stuff, and like I feel like I was asking myself at one point, like, where does it end?
yeah.
Because we could really go like forever, like it's music,
Yeah.
but 50 is such like a milestone, I feel like, because we're halfway to 100, and then not even that, like it's just like 50 times we've been all together doing this, just talking about music. So yeah, thank you guys for sticking around. It's been hella fun, hell of a journey. Definitely like brought me up to new music, new ideas, and yeah, just good vibes all around. So
All around.
Hell yeah. And it's, I feel like it's not like we're top music podcast.
No,
on
by
the
no
planet.
means. Or critics are like...
By
yeah.
no means.
Yeah,
It's
we
like
don't
we're just 3 dudes.
Yeah.
But I feel like, episode 50, like this milestone, bringing it up, it really kind of puts everything into perspective of how intensive this is, taking time out of your day to listen to new music and stuff, and then take notes on it, and then sacrificing days to like come in, or get on a Zoom or Skype call and all that shit. But nah, man, I'm so stoked.
I feel like we've learned from each episode too, whether it's how we banter or how we communicate and talk about music, and each time it gets better, in my opinion.
Yeah, true.
And I love how far we've come. And most enjoyable part is all the music we brought up, and all these different bands that you guys have maybe never heard of or that I haven't, and now we all know. And we find the love, and it all kind of melds together. And this cast is so much fun, and I hope you guys all like watching it.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, if you're a regular listener, like, please, on this episode in particular, like, show some love in the comments, you know, share it with your friends. We'd love to hear from the people that listen, actually, because I know, like, I'm a nerd and I check the view count. We're like averaging 20 an episode at this point.
Not bad.
You know, we've had some really banger episodes with more, and, you know, some that kind of didn't have that much traction. But yeah, if you're a regular listener and you've, you know, been around long enough, like, fucking say some shit in the comments on this. But yeah, man, super stoked, super happy to be here. Let's get into these questions real quick that I've got for y'all.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Just you guys can kind of pick who goes first. I'll just ask it to the group. What's your age? Where you from? What's your age? Where you from?
23, from Cali.
Nice.
Born Cali.
Nice.
Moved up here when I was young with my family, like 3 or 4 years old. I was still pretty young.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, been here since.
Nice.
Similar him.
Yeah.
Cali boy.
Cali
moved
boy.
up here, moved back and forth.
Yeah.
But now been in Oregon for the last few years, and definitely my home.
Yeah, you've gone like up and back a little bit. Yeah, but that's tight.
Yeah.
I'm 26. Dorian, I've been in Eugene. I've literally lived in this area my whole fucking life. Like in, you know, some offshoot towns in Oregon, but yeah, been up here my whole life. What's like a first memory of like whether it's like a particular song or an artist, you know, like what's your first memory with music from when you were like a young kid? Yeah,
that's a big question.
Yeah,
I can go first. Something just came in my head. I've never been a Beatles fan.
Okay.
But my dad was.
Okay.
And I remember him playing the White Album on CD. He had bought like this tricked out stereo system back in the mid 80s.
Okay.
And Rocky Raccoon, just like a song that a 7, 8-year-old kid could get into and like appreciate. The song Pigs or Piggy, I think it is. All those songs on the album are so cool. And I remember listening to the entire album eventually and falling in love with it at that young of an age, and it kind of stuck with me. You know, I didn't really get into the Beatles after that, but for whatever reason, that's my memory of being introduced to music in general and finding an appreciation for something kind of abstract, and then some other cool songs that were on that album, like, you know, Back to the USSR and songs like that.
And out of all of the albums to get into by the Beatles, the White Album, like there's a reason why it's like it's like top 10 of any best albums of all time list. Like, it's a banger. But are you still thinking? Because I can go.
Oh no, probably like, oh boy, first time listening to music that I remember. There's a lot. Definitely when I was younger, being like, you know, at parties, like listening to all the Spanish music. But one that I definitely remembered, just because, like, it was kind of a core moment. I was like starting to have like, you know, my thoughts and stuff on music. I don't remember exactly. It was in Cali for sure. We had gone back, I think, to a trip to see family, and we were listening to the radio. And what song was that? It was like an R&B song.
Okay.
I want to say it was like maybe Erykah Badu or something, like something R&B-ish. And it just caught the groove. Like, I caught the groove of the song. And then from there, like, I was like, okay, I like music. And then, you know, more stuff started coming up. I listened to more radio. So yeah, that's when like my core moments is like, you know, kind of in Cali. When I was younger. And then even more recently, you know, like in like middle school, high school, all that stuff, getting more music. So
I think for me, I can't remember exactly which one of these came first, but I remember like driving because my dad lived in Lynn County, like Albany, Lebanon, all that shit. And he would drive me, you know, when I would visit him on the weekends, we would be driving forever, and he had like the CD binders, you know, with like all the fucking sleeves in them. And he had like 3 in the back of his car because he was just burning CDs, buying CDs. And so I remember I would just like sit there and flip through them. But he's still a huge metalhead. And so it's like, I can't remember whether it was Dragula by Rob Zombie or Master of Puppets by Metallica. He has a story of me listening when they did the concert with S&M, or with the San Francisco Orchestra, that I was hanging on the oven door singing Master of Puppets. But I remember specifically those two tracks like a lot from when I was like fucking 3-4 years old, just listening to Master and Rob Zombie.
That's awesome.
But yeah, three artists that kind of changed you, whether it was from a personal perspective or changed your music taste, you know, kind of flipped it on its head maybe.
Yeah. I think right off the bat, first thing that comes to mind is a Spanish group called Los Bukis.
Los Bukis?
Los Bukis. Just because, like, when I'd listen to music a lot, especially growing up with my parents, it was always like Spanish music, and I used to not like it. I used to not like Spanish music because, in part, like, I was learning and I didn't want to understand it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I want to listen to, you know, hip hop, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But like now that I'm older, and even like, you know, not too long ago, I started realizing like there's like, it's not bad stuff. You have to like.
You gotta find. You gotta go.
You have
through.
to find where you like what you like from it.
Yeah.
So like, listening back to it now, like my dad would always play Los Bukis, and listening back to it, I'm like, I understand now.
Yeah,
and
I get it.
I get it. And
I get it, pops.
Yeah, and all the other music too that like they would listen to, that's Spanish, and more recently, just because recently too, I told you I've been kind of on a bender.
Oh yeah,
like Spanish music.
You've been getting down to your roots.
Yeah, like regional Spanish music. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one for sure. Los Bukis, hip hop, probably like Joy Badass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I could name like a bunch of stuff, but that's probably like core one for me.
There's a third. You haven't,
a third one?
Yeah, top three. Dude.
One more. Okay.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Put me on the spot now.
It's a good question.
Yeah. I crafted these when we did the wall, but then you know that
episode was a little hazy.
That day got a little
hazy shade of winter.
Got fucking sideways real quick.
Great episode.
Great episode. Still gotta put out the movie review.
One more, probably.
Yeah.
Ironically, maybe like. Not ironically, I guess like Daft Punk.
Okay.
Really got into Daft Punk at one point, and then that got me to Deadmau5, Skrillex, all the other stuff.
Yeah. They truly are a catalyst. What about you, Matty T?
Probably like early on, maybe more of like a Glenn Danzig kind of vibe, because I was kind of more solitude in my younger years when I got into middle school, and so I found outlets in music.
Yeah.
And the darker it was, you know, the easier it was for me to find a release. And then after that, in high school, Jim Morrison and the Doors definitely expanded my horizons a lot more.
Jim fucking Morrison told me, man.
Always loved the Doors. Gonna bring an album up of theirs at some point on this cast. And then, you know, I could keep going, and this last one is a hard one for me, but definitely Brian Eno.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because he helped me kind of dive into a rabbit hole of music that I would never have found otherwise, because of the stuff that he was doing, which is different.
Yeah.
And even going back to the mid 70s and kind of finding appreciation for music like Roxy music and, you know, different bands that are just weird stuff that I would have never found out. So
and he's got such a diverse catalog too.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm really excited to talk more on that here in a couple. Because this year pick for this week of his is just so vastly different than before and after Science.
Oh, completely.
Yeah. Not even from a fucking instrument, like the fact that it's instrumental versus something with vocals on it.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Great picks, you guys. And then for me, personally, this is going to be funny because it's stuff that we've covered. All three of these are bands that I've brought up, or artists that I've brought up.
Very cool. That's all right.
Definitely, first one was probably Slipknot. Because I grew up around, like there's just a lot of music in my life. You know, like my mom was super into Prince. I'm gonna be a scumbag and have an honorable mention at the end of this.
Okay.
Just because I can't. There's. But anyway, Slipknot when I was about like 13, 14 years old, getting into them, because I heard, like, someone I was going to school with was like, yeah, I'm into Slipknot, like, their bassist just died, their original bassist, Paul Gray. And I was like, yeah, I was a fucking Hot Topic kid, so I always saw Slipknot t-shirts. And so I was like, let me get into them. And then watched that live download set that I showed you guys some clips from. And
on the CD that you had, the CD, you said?
The DVD. Yeah. I watched that on YouTube, and I was like, I need the actual DVD so I can watch, like, the behind the scenes. And then that really opened me up to, like, a darker side of metal. You know, that wasn't the radio friendly stuff, you know, like, because I was already, like I said, like, hell into Metallica, hell into Rob Zombie. And then Slipknot really opened the door for me to go and get into bands like In Flames. Later on in my life, when I got into my 20s, Thy Art Is Murder, you know, Oceano, like the really heavy stuff. So Slipknot for sure. Next one for me would be MF Doom. Was slowly... I used to be such a rap hater. I was like one of those fucking... Like, if I could go back and meet myself at 13, I'd beat the hell out of myself because I was annoying. I was like, I was a little shit. Like, classic rock is the best music ever, and rap sucks. I was like, dude, like, literally the things that I go back and remember conversations I had about music just make me cringe so hard. But I was like starting to get into rap music. It was like right around, like, I had already gotten into Chance the Rapper, you know, Kendrick Lamar's earlier stuff. And then my buddy Dylan, shout out, showed me Mad Villainy with Madlib and Doom. Okay. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, the rhyme schemes and everything. And then that started a fucking, like, 3-year just obsession where I was only listening to, like, MF Doom and Madlib shit. So MF Doom. And then the third one, Mr. Oizo. When my stepdad showed me Mr. Oizo when I was like 12, 13 years old, I was like, what is this music? I'm like, house? What? Like a thing that you live in? Like, what? House music? Okay, bet. And then that subsequently led me into DJing, getting into, you know, of course, the heavier side of EDM and stuff like that. That's
cool that was like the catalyst to your DJing, like making music yourself, like mixing and everything.
Yeah, and then the honorable mention, because it was really monumental to me, was Aerosmith. My mom was really into Aerosmith. It was the first autobiography I read was Joey Kramer, their drummer. And they, along with Metallica and some other bands, but Aerosmith was like the main one that made me really want to get into playing music. I learned a bunch of their songs on guitar back in the day, and then really made me want to, you know, learn any instrument that I could fucking get my little grubby little fingers on. But yeah, those are mine. And then 2 more, and then we'll move on.
Oh, we're good.
2 more.
I like this question and answer period.
I do too. Yes. Top 3 albums that you've been shown from the cast, like Matt. It would be like top 3 out of the stuff that we've brought up, not your own. Yeah. So top 3 albums that you've heard because of the show that we've like brought up.
Well, first off, I think one that comes right to mind is Gary Newman, Pleasure Principle.
Yeah,
definitely that album. Yeah, Gary Newman, man.
What a an absolute monster, dude.
Yeah,
Gary Newman's the shit.
That definitely a pioneer for that era.
Oh yeah,
definitely inspired a lot of people. You know,
a lot of people, and I could see why. Like, just the creativity behind it, and like what he was doing at that year. Like,
it's such a simple album cover too, but it's burned into my mind because that picture's just so cool. I don't know why. I love it. I'm like, yo, what is this?
That one. Wait, 3?
3. Yeah, top 3.
So that's one, like each, or just like.
No, it could be like you could do.
Oh, just top 3.
Yeah, like top 3 ones, but not ones that you've brought up.
Yeah.
So you could do 3 Matt picks. I'll be offended, but I won't care.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure I understand.
She never understands us.
Yeah, definitely Pleasure Principle. That's one.
Okay.
Boy.
Oh
bother. For another one. I only had 1. I wasn't expecting 3. 2. I'm gonna go HHA.
Ooh, People Who Can Eat People.
Yeah,
I like it.
Let's go.
I like that one because I hadn't heard of it. Kind of in that folk
That folk
I like
punk,
that.
dude.
I like that it's like...
I've got a couple more. I've got like one other one from them I'll bring up, and then I've got some other bands in that genre that I want to bring up.
Yeah. So...
I didn't expect you to say that.
That album, too, the Rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
The bunny or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That...
A song dedicated to the memory of Stormy the Rabbit. Just their long-ass song titles is the best.
And then for a third, I should have thought about this a little bit longer.
It's a tough question.
It is.
My memory sucks. I'm going back through the
going-
cast and looking at my notes. Like,
So last one, definitely Frizzle Fry.
Oh,
ooh,
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Frizzle
Fucking
Fry.
Frizzle, dude.
Some Les. Yeah.
Some good old Mr. Claypool, dude. Hell yeah. Matt? Do you need
First
some...
off, no, I'm good.
Okay.
First off, Underachievers. I mean,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and nothing needs to be said about that. That kind of opened my eye up to like other forms of hip hop and knowing that there is more, avant-garde and alternative styles out there that still exist. And me being naive and ignorant and not thinking that it was still a thing is stupid. So that helped me open my eyes to like Billy Woods and things like that, all because of your guys' recommendations. So that's one for sure. Probably In Flames.
Yeah, I was hoping. That's like one of my favorite albums that I've personally brought up. I was really hoping one of y'all would say Sense of Purpose.
Just because that whole genre kind of is a little different for me. I never really dove into it before, and being able to find something accessible that had slower parts into it and more instrumental stuff was cool. Kind of helps the listener appreciate what that band can do in the studio and make an album like that.
For me, that album kind of rides the line, of almost being too aggressive, but also being accessible. It has a perfect blend of it, in my opinion. But.
And then Masonic Temples,
Masonic Temples.
Yeah.
You're like the biggest Kikagaku
Dude,
Boyo
you just
fan now, dude.
Like
I love it.
All their albums.
How many albums of theirs do you have?
I just have 3 right now.
I just have 3.
Yeah.
That's like almost their whole disc.
I'm just thinking
Yeah,
they'll be vintage at some point because they're not together anymore and they stopped touring. So,
Yeah.
If I can find all the originals, why not?
Yeah, no, that's sick.
Yeah.
Great picks.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. For me, first when I thought of this question, this was one I thought of today actually. First one that came to mind for me was Repeater by Fugazi.
Nice.
Right?
Yes.
Like
That's
I've said multiple times,
sure.
man,
Heck
you
yeah.
came in with such a bomb, just like an absolute nuke. Be like, hey, my name's Matt, and I am part of the cast now, and it's like, damn right, all right, bro.
Bringing up Repeater.
Yeah, so Repeater by Fugazi.
Awesome.
It was one that I don't know. This one might be kind of a cheat because I had kind of started getting into it by the time we brought it up. But Haram by Armand Hammer. I've listened to that album like 5 times this week. I would literally like listen to your guys' picks and then Haram. Like it's like when I was just sitting there jamming.
Yeah.
So Haram by Armand Hammer, and then third one's tough. There's a lot that's coming to my mind. There's a lot.
That's a heavy question.
It is. The third one's heavy. Fuck. I almost want to say. Oh man. Shit. God damn it. A lot of dead air.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
It is a beautiful day outside, by the way.
It is gorgeous. That's why we're outside. I will say. I can't. Okay, fuck
Just say it, man. Kill
Pleasure.
us.
I'm gonna go Pleasure Principle as well.
I'm adored you guys love Gary Newman so
Yeah,
much because
no.
a lot of people aren't really into it. So.
And then the other one that you suggested by him too. We haven't covered it, but I did.
Telecon, yeah.
Yeah, Telecon. That album's really good
That's
too.
a good album.
But yeah, I'll go ahead and say Pleasure Principle as well.
Sweet.
So Fugazi, Repeater, Pleasure Principle by Newman, and then Haram by Armand Hammer. Just great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third and final one. Third and final question before we dive into the true content for today. What is your favorite part of the show?
I already know mine is. Yeah.
My favorite part is just talking about everything, just talking about music, the whole setting, just everything.
Yeah.
I feel like nowadays, that's how I start off my weekends. Like like I'll wake up, I'll shower, make coffee, and then just listen to music and you know think about it.
Get prepped and then go
Like a lot of it definitely for me it's kind of been like not a routine, but it's kind of like, what's the word? Like it's like I know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sitting down, I'm listening to music, I'm seeing how I feel about it. I like reflect on it.
Yeah.
It's very much kind of like a meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when I'm actually like, you know, here doing it, like it's the best part, just sharing ideas, bouncing off each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, just the whole thing, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
As much as I like talking about music and everything, I'm always excited about the end of the show when we get to introduce our picks.
Of course, yeah.
Yep.
Because I'm so excited about what they bring to the table, and it's always new, and we're always so clever with our genres. So I love talking about music the whole time, but that is definitely where it's at for me. And like Jake said, I like the routine too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, having that thing to do on Saturday, and like it's almost like a job, but it's a job you really enjoy doing,
right?
And it doesn't feel like a job. But it's fun to talk about music and share with you guys. So.
Yeah. I love that. I would say kind of in that vein, but just hearing stuff I never would have thought to listen to, like you know, mimicking birds, you know, Robson George, you know, just artists I've never even remotely heard of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So getting introduced to new stuff, and then kind of like as a sub thing, kind of how it's grown, you know, or at least how we've kind of, you know, Matt, you're kind of the Whatchu Spinnin historian. You've listened to all the episodes multiple times over.
I have, and I feel like we've all grown a lot.
Yeah, like the banter, you know, where it's not so much like, all right, we got to sit here and talk about music. We can't be funny and, you know, shit like that. But now we're, like, the banter's great, you know, we're diving, you know, we're kind of like bringing stuff up, you know. Sometimes I won't even research an album all that much. I tend to not to anymore because I want to come in and ask, like, have the presenter of the album like tell me about
That's
it.
A good point. I've started doing that a little bit myself too.
I'll like look at the year and maybe like, who was on this? You know, if there was anybody else like with your pick for this week. You know, there's some interesting stuff there, but you know, just kind of really seeing, because I do the edits and everything, and so I also watch every episode multiple times over by the time it's up. Is really just seeing the comfort, you know, the comfortability that we've all got.
We've built that
Yeah.
really well over the last, 50 episodes.
Yeah.
And having that setting that's comfortable, and we're all just in that relaxed vibe, and I think it flows really well. And every episode gets better. Like you said, I've been watching and listening to the past ones, and there's ones that I'm like, why do I say that word so much? But I'm like, you know what, who fucking cares?
Yeah,
Let's just talk about it. And we grow from that, you know, we learn from that.
Yeah, and it's the thing that it's something that I adopted from listening to other podcasts that like made me want to do this, was like, no pressure, like just be who you want to be, you know. Like there's been times where it's like, you know, both of you guys like privately have brought like, I feel like I did X and Y, and I'm like, who the fuck cares? I'm like, I understand, you know, there's sometimes where I'll be like, fuck, like I kind of fucked that up. Like I said so and so's name incorrectly, you know, 3 different times and then never corrected it or something. But it's again, it's like, who the fuck cares? We're coming in here, hanging out, you know, having a couple pops, you know, having, you know, smoking down and just chilling.
Yeah, definitely. You know, sometimes I feel like I get regretful of my picks, or like
don't ever feel that way.
Or I'm like, oh, that pick was kind of weak. But when that happens, I just think about the discovery. Like I found out something new, found out a new album, because it's always, I don't know, for me, especially with records, I feel like it's kind of always looking for the one, like the perfect record.
Yeah.
You know, and it's always like a hunt. Like your hope is to find it.
Definitely.
But you never will. Yeah. And it's just like discovering new things, coming up with new artists, new genres, and just, you know, getting more from it.
Yeah.
So there is really no loss with every pick that we have.
Oh yeah.
We learn, I feel like, from myself especially, like what I pick, and then from you guys I'm like, okay, like, you know, this is what your style, this is how I feel that it reflects off of it. So
right. And nowadays, you know, sometimes when one of us will bring up an album or like have it in our head, and then, you know, we're basically, you know, I also really love the end of every episode. Like that's like my second favorite thing. And it's like, you know, you're almost like a dog that just heard that you're going for a walk.
Right,
you're just like, fucking. And, you know, if you're sitting on one, like, I'll be sitting on one, I'm like, oh, like, I don't think Matt's heard this, or I don't think Jake's heard this, and I think they're really going to fucking like it. Like, that's really rewarding for me, too.
Yeah.
Well, fuck yeah. Any closing things for this segment, and then we can move on?
I'll go back to question one. I'm the oldest. I'm 44. I didn't say that. Sorry. I'm old man.
Papa Matt.
Old man over here. But yeah, this has been so much fun.
Yeah.
So
Episode
more. 50. Yeah. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's get right on into it. Real quick, what's the order again? Matt, Jake.
Let Jake start.
Jake, Matt, me.
I'll go first. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. This is we're gonna dive on into episode 50 of Whatchu Spinnin. We'll be right back. Yeah, that was a 30-minute segment we just did.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's rad. 30 minutes.
Going in deep.
That's cool.
Fuck yeah. That's a good
See,
little...
I feel like that's how much we've grown. We just talk so casually. It feels like 5 minutes, and
Yeah.
half hour later.
I was like, that was 15 minutes. 30 minutes?
Yeah, and when you said 15-20, I was like, yeah, 15-20.
Yeah.
And then I clicked and like went to the
30.
end of it, and I was like, literally 30. Goddamn.
Very
Time
cool.
traveling.
Here, let me get my order written down right quick.
It's a snake.
Your little doodle.
Leading into animals.
I like it. All right. Well, let's dive into our content. Back to our regularly scheduled programming here on Whatchu Spinnin, episode 50. To kick off festivities on the big episode, we're gonna have my man Jake go first. So why don't you go ahead and let the people know?
Yeah.
Tell them what's up.
We got Madlib, Shades of Blue. Came out in 2003. It's an instrumental, kind of a beat tape that he did. Pretty cool. The concept for this album was that he got together, or they contacted him, I don't know. But he got together with Blue Note Records. It's a jazz label, jazz record label. They founded in like 1939, 38. So they've been around, one of the like more influential jazz record labels. He partnered with them, and they let him mix any song or any music that he wants on like the record label. And I mean, there's so many artists under that record label that, you know, he had so much work to go off of. So this whole album is based off of, you know, jazz samples from that record label. And yeah, definitely super cool. There's some features on it that are really cool. The beats on it, super iconic beats also. But yeah, what you guys thought about it?
I mean, Madlib, dude. Kind of talked about it in that previous segment. He's easily, probably my favorite, you know, beat producer. You know, if we're talking straight up producers, he's probably my favorite. I've always loved his stuff from the moment I heard Mad Villainy, you know, and then subsequently Quasimodo. He's just, the man's an absolute fucking unit when it comes to just making damn good music. And I was describing this album to Gavin this morning, and I was like, yeah, this is, you know, kind of gave that backstory, and I said, because Madlib already kind of has that jazzy-esque production, and him doing this really allowed him to lean fully on into that and really make some very interesting stuff. And this was one that I had heard a little bit of stuff off of it, but not the full thing, and that was truly a treat to get into and be like, man, he really did just full bore lean into that jazzy side of his production, which was really cool. So I fucking loved it personally.
He's so talented too. Like, he's just, everything he does, everything he touches is just like, he puts his own unique spin on it. And what a treat to go into the vaults of Blue Note Records.
Yeah.
And
like
listen
the
to all
jazz label.
Yeah. And I dove into Blue Note a little bit more and looked at their label, and like, there's so many people on that label now, like Annie Lennox, Bobby McFerrin, just random people. I found a cool avant-garde trumpet player last night on that label. But
nice.
Madlib, this album definitely opened my eyes to some cool jazz sounds that I haven't heard before. And it floats so well. The beats are precise. and even some of the lyrical content on the album is it flows well and mixes well.
And I really liked the interlude, like the interludes and skits that they had, you know, where it was like people from Blue Note, my fellow Scorpion, Madlib.
Yeah.
Just how they say, cool. Whoever that is that says Madlib, it's like one of the first bits.
What's his name? Yeah, Lou Donaldson.
Yeah, but my fellow Scorpion, Madlib. I was just like, I don't know why.
Coming to you from Blue Note Records.
Yeah, I don't know why it cracked me up so much, but I loved that. And then, you know, kind of being like, they would talk about, you know, the history of Blue Note. It kind of does, you know, tell a little bit of a story. And then, you know, just, as you said, some iconic beats, some iconic sampling done on this. Mystic Bounce, that bass line in Mystic Bounce has been used
so many times. Electric Relaxation, Tribe.
Right.
Yep. Forbidden Fruit by J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar.
That's right.
Another good one. But yeah, man, it's... And then this, another really cool thing that I thought was pretty tight was Stepping Into Tomorrow. You know, he has MF Doom come on and do a little speaking, and he's like, I am not affiliated with him in any way whatsoever. And to think, like, the timing of when this came out in relation, because that was before Mad Villainy, that was before Food came out, like, all that. And so I was like, dude, that's so cool. Like, they were homies, like, years before. Like, what the hell?
It was like a blueprint to what they would do.
And that's kind of the thing. That's another cool thing about the cast, you know, is the more that we bring up, like, repeat albums, like artists or albums from the same artist, is we kind of piece together a timeline.
Like when it happened, leading up to the events, everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And especially if, you know, because we've done so many where it's like, like, for example, Trent Reznor and Saul Williams, you know, we could kind of bring up more albums to kind of paint the timeline of when they encountered each other. And, you know, we're kind of doing that with Madlib and Doom and stuff like that. So I thought that was really cool. I was like, yo, this is actually like a whole deeper layer to what we're doing.
It is.
I was like, what the hell?
Sure it is.
It's the stepping stones of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's got really cool also features, on the little, like, interludes at the beginning and end of tracks. There's people from the label Blue Note that are featured on it.
Yeah.
Lou Donaldson, he's like iconic sax player. Grant Green, Melvin Sparks, like all these like legendary artists that have been on the Blue Note record label at one point. It's cool that it does that, and it kind of pays homage to, like, definitely hip hop, but more so jazz, just because all the samples, the history with everything. A lot of the majority, some of them, it's like just interludes and just interviews of like people or like background of, you know, the founder of Blue Notes and, you know, the making and everything of it. So it's cool too that it has that historical side of like the record label.
It was all like how it was all put together as well, you know, like the flow of everything. And it was done so well, and the album's so cool that we give you a pass because there is an entire rap song on there.
We give you a pass.
We give you a pass this one time. No, I'm kidding. And it's, you know, I'll say it every fucking time I can. Just, you know, when you lay out an album properly, it really says something.
It does.
And this was really, it was Madlib doing his thing, but the thing that I find really cool about it was that he really used his album to tell the story of a record label that not a lot of people know about, you know, unless you're hella into jazz and a fucking music dork like us. So I thought that was cool because I was like, I didn't know much about it, you know, other than Pete LaRocca. You know, we kind of talked about Blue Note. I didn't know a whole lot about it, so I was like, man, this is like a fucking education right now. I feel like I'm reading or listening to an audiobook.
Yeah,
I was like,
going back in time a little bit.
Yeah,
the present spin on it.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
Yeah.
On the vinyl, does it break down like what songs are used at all, or what's sampling at all?
It doesn't. But there's an alternate version of this. It's called Madlib Untilted.
Okay. Untitled.
No, Untinted.
Oh, Untinted.
Untinted. So, Untinted, and it has the actual like original songs.
Very cool.
And if on that album, all the songs, they're pretty much the same like title, just a little twist.
Oh, okay.
Like I think Slim's Return is on the actual song. It's like Slim's something else. It's like something different. Mystic Bounce, the original is Mystic Brew, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, they all kind of have a little twist to them. Slim's Return, the sampling on that, the KRS vocals.
Yeah.
That's all over that song.
That was KRS One, huh? I was trying to think.
Yeah, that's KRS One, and that Ronnie Foster and the original song for Mystic Brew. That's, we talked about, that's been sampled so many times. And yeah, another song that really caught my listening back to it, Song for My Father.
There you go. That's a good track.
It made me go back into listen to the original song. With, I forget the artist. It's like Donnie something, but it's like an iconic jazz song. It's an iconic jazz song, and that I hadn't heard in so long. And it's cool seeing how some are very different. Like, you could tell it's Madlib just hitting buttons and producing the beat.
Yeah.
And others, you could tell it's like kind of identical to the original.
Yeah.
So it's cool that he does that. He keeps some parts. Keeps it kind of where it's at, where it's from, the roots. But yeah, definitely I'm glad that we got a chance to talk about it. It's one that I had wanted to bring up for a while. I know we talk a lot about Madlib's duo albums.
It's hard not to.
Yeah, or the ones that he partners with, collabs with people.
Like, so good.
MED and Blue and all that.
So good.
Yeah, Freddie Gibbs. But this is one that it's like, it's just him, his beats.
Yeah. He might be the most mentioned artist on this podcast.
I think so. I would agree with that.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Just because of all the stuff he's done.
That's why he's so talented. Like I said earlier, he just his presence on everything he does, it's just so dynamic. And
and you hear if you're in a like wherever and you hear something that he's done, like he's got that signature sound, and he really managed to, on top of kind of staying true to the original tracks and the original projects, he managed to put his own little pepper on it. This is who did the original, but I'm doing my own kind of spin take on it. And so that was really cool, and his use of the sampling, the vocals and the vocal sampling and the interludes, it was very much, I was like, this is a fucking Madlib record for sure. Man.
I like how the album title Shades of Blue is kind of an homage to Kind of Blue by Miles Davis.
Oh yeah. Okay. Didn't think about that.
I don't think it is, but maybe. But also Shades of Blue, it's Shades of Blue Note, like the actual record label.
I'll back that.
Yeah.
I'll back that.
I got your
theory.
back.
That's a good conspiracy.
It's not a conspiracy.
Yeah. We're starting it. We're starting it.
We're starting now.
There's a Reddit page already somewhere.
Madlib's gonna get interviewed about it. He's like, that album from 2003? What the fuck? It's like, why? Why are we talking about that? Hell yeah, man. Do we want to top it up?
Top 3? Yeah, let's go.
Kick us off, that boy.
I'll go first. Honorable mention, I'm going to go Song for My Father. And then top 3, 3, 2, 1, I'm going to go Stepping Into Tomorrow.
Yep.
Love that beat, and that Doom just being a villain, like, I don't know this guy,
Yeah.
I have no ties with him.
And then a year later drops one of the biggest rap albums of all time.
Yeah, drops a nuclear bomb on the underground rap scene.
Yeah.
Number 2, Slim's Return. Those KRS vocal samples, man. And Mystic Bounce.
Yep.
I love his spin of that iconic beat.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's how the track just slowly builds around that sample. I love that. Honorable mentions for me, Song for My Father and Distant Land.
Nice.
Really liked Distant Land and Song for My Father, obviously. 3, Funky Blue Note. That fast drum beat is just so nice. Number 2, Peace/Dolphin Dance. Did like that one. And then I feel like this is going to be the top between the three of us. Probably fucking Mystic Bounce.
It might be on my top 3. Honorable mention for me was Footprints. Cool track. And then 3, 2, 1 going with Mystic Bounce. Song for My Father. And then my top track was Funky Blue Note.
Yep.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Good pick, man.
That jazz drumming. That super fast jazz drumming.
Yeah. I love when our picks can help me dive into another label and like a different avenue of music. So they definitely did this for me. Thank you.
Yeah, just an absolute rabbit hole that you fall down.
Yes.
Hell yeah. Well, that was Shades of Blue by Madlib, released in 2003, which was Jake's pick for this week. We'll be right back to talk about Matt's.
Peace.
Oh man. Bubblegum, 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 bubblegum for me.
I was like so tempted this specific like episode to do so many different artists, dude. I was like, someone had to bring up Discovery. I wanted to bring up Discovery.
For episode 50, like other instrumental albums. Yeah, there was a couple. There was a couple I could have brought up. I almost went back to like EDM and dubstep shit.
I almost picked a Buckethead album. But
That would have been sick. I love Buckethead.
Yes.
I also almost went Joe Satriani too. Any of his would have been great. War, that album in particular. When he had hair.
Oh, by Bone Thugs. War.
Yeah.
That album.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the band that did Lowrider, actually.
That's right.
All right.
I think we're ready.
I think we're ready to talk about some more music. Matt, what you got for us this week, boy?
We're going back in time. Back to 1978. Music for films by Brian Eno.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jake, didn't mean to block your face. I'm an asshole. Sorry about that. We brought up Brian Eno before. Talked about Before and After Science. And more of a lyrical album. And this is more of his ambient period.
Yeah. Truly.
They're all short songs, anywhere from maybe, I don't even know if they're like a 30-second or a minute interludes, but like 30 seconds to like 2 minutes, basically. We'll go that route. And they're short little tracks. Rumor is that they were made to be sent out to different directors in that time frame to be used in movies, and I don't know if that's ever been corroborated. It's just a fun piece of music, it's like a one long song with different changes for me, and it's something I can play at night. I can play while I'm cooking dinner, and I've listened to it for so long that there's certain tracks on there that just kind of calm me down, even if they're like a minute long. I'll just play it real quick and be good to go. It's Brian Eno. It's hard to say anything bad about the guy. He's just so creative and so unique and experimental with everything he does, and whoever he produces for, it's the same way. He adds his spin and they become huge. What do you guys think?
Fucking Eno, dude.
Fucking Eno.
He's got to be a weirdo. He's just so creative. I'm like, this guy is probably so just, and I mean that in like the nicest way possible. Like, I feel like he's just so eclectic with the music that he makes that he's probably so fucking interesting to talk to. Because anytime that we bring up an artist again, at least for me, if it's one that I haven't heard and then we kind of revisit something they've done, you only have that one album or that one instance if you don't dive into the rest of the catalog. You only have that one thing to go off of.
Right.
And I didn't really dive into Eno outside of Before and After Science, and so having that one to compare to this, I was like, that's what made me think. I'm like, all right, Eno's got to be like the most interesting dude in music to like just probably sit down and talk with, because he doesn't even consider himself a musician.
Right.
It's like, that's like, if you look on Spotify, that's like the one thing, like the first thing of his bio is like, doesn't even consider himself a musician.
The non-musician.
I'm like, all right, dude. I need to know more about that.
And people hated him for that because they're classically trained guitar players or whatever going out on stage, and at the time's like, I'm not even a non-musician, and he's huge. Like,
it was massive.
It's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
To be able to just plug into things and play with electronics and create your own sound.
And I feel like the people also that he had on this album, because he had some people doing stuff like in the background tracks. Yeah, he had Phil Collins. He had that guy from Velvet Underground, John Davis Cole. Also Robert Fripp from King Crimson.
Right.
Yeah, like
his guitar work is
massive. Like also people on this album. And Phil Collins. It's crazy, man. And it's this album especially, it's real interesting because he was starting to experiment more with like the ambient sound, right? Like he had done the music for airports.
Correct. Yep.
Which is
4 tracks.
Awesome. That's fucking awesome.
4 tracks.
Music for airports.
Yeah.
And he was doing more of this like ambient sounding, kind of lo-fi, and experimenting with like electronic kind of synthy. And then he went on to do like another like 2 versions of this.
He did. Yep.
Yeah, 2 or 3 versions, volumes. But like another definitely kind of staple for Brian Eno, I feel like. Hearing more about him, reading up on it, the tracks and everything, like it's real interesting how he paints it, because he wanted it to be in films, like he wanted it to be used kind of, and you could kind of hear that. You imagine yourself like a picture, you could picture yourself, in a movie setting. Sometimes when I listen to this, one that I thought of, Inland Sea and 2 Rapid Formations, I was like, that could be in Free Willy. Yeah. Like, like it could be in some movie that, I could think of, like, older movie. So I like that he was doing that was the concept for this. Like, use my stuff.
Yeah. And it kind of, I don't know, and I mean this in a good way, it kind of sets you up, it kind of sets that expectation. When you go to listen to it for the first time, it's like, all right, it's called music for films. Like, let's see where this goes. And so as you're sitting there listening to it, also on before I forget, the shortness of the tracks and how well they all flow together. I got 5 tracks in before I realized I was 5 tracks in. I was like, this like first couple songs is badass. And I pull up my phone, I'm like, track 5? What the fuck?
What did I miss?
Hold on, let me go back and like watch the scroll bars. But I was like, what the heck? So that's really cool. But the kind of to piggyback off what you said, it kind of sets that expectation. You get that mindset of this is for films. Let me see, like, with that in mind, let's just see where it goes. And as you listen to it, you're thinking of movies you've seen that, like, oh, this would be perfect. Like, one for me was Alternative 3 in Quartz. Reminded me of the first Alien film. Like listening to it, I was like, oh, this could be like the scene where, like, after they first encounter the xenomorph and like Sigourney Weaver's like kind of walking through looking for the cat or whatever. I was like, those 2 tracks, I was like, man, this is like fucking Alien. Like, this is cool. So that was like that all throughout. You kind of do like the Free Willy or some shit, and hilarious that you thought of Free Willy, but glad that it made you think of something you'd seen.
I had to, like, because that was the mentality that I went into it. But then re-listening to it more and more, you could pick out songs that sound similar to another artist, like M386. Kind of remind me of like David Bowie and like kind of Gary Newman. A little bit. Like around that also, because it's kind of synthy, similar to what they were doing. But yeah, some songs too, very much like sampled. Quartz sampled by Alchemist.
That was one of the first things I picked up on listening to that album. I'm like, no, because I love that little song. It's just so short and it's just cool. I was like, wait a minute.
And what Alchemist track? Because I was off of Rapper's Best Friend 4, wasn't it? What Alchemist track? Because I remember, I never thought to look it up, but I remember you guys saying that.
Jabroni.
That's right.
Matt putting it out like right away when we were listening to that. Like,
that a baby Matt. Look at the head on this guy. The fucking brain in there, dude.
I like my Brian Eno, apparently.
No, that is so cool. And that's again, beautiful thing about this show. It all eventually it'll come full circle. That's something we mentioned fucking 35 episodes ago.
When you brought that up, like I had liked it, and then seeing the track list, I was like, why do I have that song liked? And then I remembered, I was like, that's why I brought it up.
That's cool. A lot of the things that I think he used recording with David Bowie on the Low album, he kind of brought into the studio for this album, whether it was the textures or the landscapes or the mindset he had. And I'm sure he was using those cards he had, where you have no idea to do and just pick it up and do it. Go outside and stand on your head. I don't know.
Lay down while you produce this one.
Eyes closed.
Do it backwards. And you mentioned it earlier, the kind of the flow of everything, how it's almost one massive song, and it just kind of goes. It's like an orchestral piece almost.
A little bit.
Where it just kind of goes within. It variates, kind of differentiates, but there is this it's very cohesive, very thought out. And it really makes you. It kind of puts into perspective how do I say this? It kind of defies the traditional album structure. and the traditional
100%,
traditional structure for a song. You know, because it's ambient music, so there's no fucking structure. It's just make sound happen. Just make sound happen, and whenever you want to start, you start. Whenever you want to stop, you stop. You know, there's no like verse, chorus, verse set up. Like, it's an instrumental album, but you know, even on instrumental albums, there's, you know, some kind of theme and structure that you follow. This completely turns that on its head, which is very interesting. So I was trying to pick a top 3, and I was like, I don't even know where the fuck to start.
That's tough.
I was like, top 3 is
tough on that one.
I was like, it's kind of tough, but in a good way, you know, because it is so. It kind of bends the whatever. It kind of bends the expectation of what an album is, what a song is, and everything.
Sure.
So that was something I took away from it this morning. You know, after listening to it for like the 4th, 5th time, I was like, this kind of has no boundaries, no structures. It's like a no holds barred, man.
It is open world.
It's a hell of a sell.
Just walk around. That's what I like about Brian Eno. You know, he's able to like create an emotion through his instrumentation, and then the listener will interpret it however they want.
Yeah.
And I 100%. Think that's says a lot about an artist when they can do that, and people find different avenues of love for it, whether it's the relaxation or the being able to meditate to music or being able to unwind in some way. So that's why I like Brian Eno, because he invokes that emotion in the listener, and then the listener just rolls with it.
I like it.
I think it's good too. It's like such a turn for the best. Like his not transition, but him moving to doing this type of style of music. Like that's what he's like now known for, and that's what he does, and that he's like still doing to this day. Like he just
released an album.
He just did an album with Fred again. That
I did actually listen to a little bit of that. Not half bad.
Yeah, it's very much like in this same kind of ambient. And Fred again, he's done that too. Like he's done kind of like ambient music. He has like house music, but he has stuff like this that's in this same realm. So I could see why they both work together on it.
Yeah.
And I think it's like that's kind of a staple in his catalog now for Brian Eno, that he's been known to do that. Like he'll make these types of albums that you could really kind of throw on any song on this, and you could zone out. You could get into it. You could put it in the background, have good conversations with. Like, you know, it's good just placement music to be kind of in a setting in the background. I feel like.
And like you said, he's collaborated with other people. David Byrne from the Talking Heads. He does another instrumental album with him called My Life in a Bush with Ghosts or something like that. But this album is great. Yeah.
Can you run that by me one more time?
My Life in a Bush with Ghosts.
Fuck yeah. Best album title of all time now.
Pretty sure I said that right. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they just use different sampling from like religious settings, and like David Byrne. There's no singing or anything. It's just them doing weird instrumentation back together.
I like that.
You should check that out.
David Byrne's a goofy.
They're both goofy, and you know he produced Talking Heads' first couple albums, so they have that.
Really?
They have that camaraderie already. So pretty cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
Again, interesting dude. Probably one of the more eclectic dudes that we've brought up, or artists. In
little bit, yeah.
We've brought up just because of all the stuff that he does. Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Brian Eno, what a guy.
Clever dude.
We ready to?
Let's do it.
Top it
Top
up.
3 it up. I'll start off. I didn't have an honorable mention because I liked the whole album. You know, I've listened to it for so long that you know I could name them as all my favorites. But 3 to 1, 3 M386, 2 Island Sea, and then my top track is From the Same Hill. Every time I hear that song, it's just like
the acoustic.
It can be a sad. Yeah, I think it's guitar or that bass, whatever it is. It's great.
Yeah.
Very very emotional in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a positive way.
And it's in that strong start, you know, that I kind of mentioned how everything flows together so well. It's like it's the second track on the album, isn't it?
Yep.
So it's like part of that really strong run at the beginning. So it is kind of that mood setter. It's like, hey, we are going in. We are getting into the shit. Based off that, I'll go next. Honorable mention for me, Alternative 3 and Patrolling Wire Borders. I liked those 2 tracks. Number 3 for me, From the Same Hill. Number 2, There Is Nobody. And then number 1 for me was A Measured Room.
Okay.
A Measured Room. It had this really nice bass line to it. And it was kind of it was kind of like the beginning of the end of the album. And I was like, just kind of like the feel of it. And that bass line just really twisted my ear. So
Very cool.
Nice. Yes. Honorable mention, I'm gonna go Island Sea / two-parter, Two Rapid Formations. Those two songs, I feel like they're perfectly placed right next to each other.
Yeah.
Like they complement each other so well. Top 3, I'm gonna go Quartz. It's so moogy. Like that, it sounds like a moog, you know?
A little bit.
Quartz, There Is Nobody. That's where I got that you were saying, like, very alien-y, very spacey.
Yeah.
And then From the Same Hill.
Yeah.
Those little, like, guitar plucks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those
are
plucks
cool.
that it has, it's good.
Hell
Good
yeah.
start to an album.
And to kind of go back to what you said about the flow of those 2 tracks, when this album was originally released, it was only pressed for like 500 copies and it was sent out to the directors, but it was a different order.
Really?
And when it, you know, or whoever decided to put it out again, he changed the structure because he didn't like the way it flowed. So I think that's why those 2 songs sound so good together.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Because, and then the one I mentioned, Alternative 3 and Quartz, like those flow together so well too. So that's cool that he was like aware enough to be like, nah, we're releasing this to the masses. It's not a fucking throw shit at a wall and hope it sticks thing anymore. We're gonna actually put it out. That's actually, I really, really like that.
Right.
It'd be interesting though to see
hear the other
the
version,
original.
Yeah, to see how much different it does sound.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Anyways, that was Music for Films by Brian Eno, released in
1978.
1978.
That was
We'll be right back to go into the future a little bit and talk about my pick. We'll be right back. Alrighty. It's time to wrap this baby up. Talk about my pick for this week, which is Animals as Leaders, Weightless, released in 2011. They are classified as a progressive metal band, but they are probably one of the most prominent bands in the gent subgenre of metal. And I do have to show this off because
cool.
it's one of the sickest discs I own.
That is cool.
So, yeah, Animals as Leaders, good old gent music, insane guitar work. Tosin Abasi, as I said at the end of last episode, one of the probably in my opinion, probably top 3 living guitarists right now. The guy's just an absolute madman. I'll give away some more fun facts as we go on, but I'll put a cork in it for now. What do y'all have to say about it?
I'd listened to Animals as Leaders before, a little bit, not a whole lot. And I remember seeing Tosin on an episode when they were doing different things at NOM, which is a music conference in LA with different equipment and stuff. And he was at some booth and playing guitar, and just people are just watching him and getting their minds blown. And the things he was doing with an 8-string guitar is just incredible.
Yeah.
His tone, his arpeggios, everything he does is just so unique, and it's so fast, and you're just like, how is he doing this?
Yeah.
And to watch him live, I think you really get that experience, and you're like, wow, this guy is good. This is their second album. I like it better than the first one. I feel like it's a little more progressive, I guess, if that's even a word, because they are progressive in a way already.
Yeah.
But as far as the album structure and the way it flows, it's just really cool how far they came from the first album. 8 strings, baby.
8 strings.
That's crazy to think about on a guitar. You got, you know.
Yeah, I was reading that too, that they play 8-string guitars. It's fucking nuts, man.
On this whole album, it's all 8 strings, but I don't think he plays a 6 string on any of their albums, prior or after.
Yeah, no, that's crazy, man. Like, you have to get at that point so good at guitar, and you could tell, like, the guitar work on this is amazing, dude.
Yeah.
Like, some points where like, it slows down, like, and that's what I like too, there's layers to everything. Like, sometimes they go super fast. Even the drumming on this is also really good.
Yeah.
But sometimes they go, like, super fast, sometimes they go really, really slow. And I'm like, okay, I could hear that. And then, like, you can hear the progression also that they're going, like,
slowly starts to grow from, like, something simple.
Yeah, like, when you just hear him, like, making that guitar just go, man. Like, the ladders that he's doing with it. Yeah, everything about it, his guitar work is really good. But yeah, as far as like strong like the song structure goes, I feel like they can all be songs that you can have some vocals to. Like all of them, you could throw a vocal in, either that be, you know, like if it's metal or if it's, you know, like screams. Like either one, I could see it being either or. And I think that's cool about it too. They have like that material where they have that, you know, like in their hand, like they can at some point add a vocalist or maybe even partner with someone that has, I don't know if they've done albums with that. But yeah, it's real interesting, and I think also really cool for this style of like band work, because there's a lot of bands that do that too, like they're instrumental. So
and
stuff.
This was so the first album that they put out there is just self-titled, Animals as Leaders. That was just Tosin Abasi. Like he did the production behind it, you know, did the drum machine beats. Didn't have a drummer. It was just all Tosin doing everything.
Okay.
And so this was their first album that had an actual drummer on it and was not just one dude. So
kind of like a full band now.
Right, and they're just a 3-piece still. Like no bassist.
Just 2 guitar players and a drummer, right?
2 guitar players and a drummer, yeah. Javier Reyes is the other guitar player. I can't remember the drummer's name off the top of my head, but he's an animal. Just absolutely kills all 3 of them. This was another band, you know, kind of like I said in the first segment, you know, when we were kind of getting to know some stuff. When I got into this, I was like 16, 17 years old, staying at a buddy's house, and I was part of like a meme page on fucking Reddit, like a meme forum of like metal music. And this band got brought up, and I was like, what the hell is that? Animals as Leaders. And I looked them up, and this was the first album I landed on, and I was like, dude, what the hell? So, and the reason why I brought up the first segment was they also were a huge catalyst into me getting into more metal. Like this album in particular was what got me into the more like deathcore, more gent, like Veil of Maya, bands like that. So I love this, and I've been listening to it for over a decade at this point. Just absolutely amazing work on it. The things that and yeah, it's probably because it's 8-string guitars, but the way like Isolated Incidents in particular, I'm going to go ahead and spoil one of my top 3. It's in there. But the way that song goes, you know, it starts off with that really slow part, and then by the end of it, it has that part where everything cuts out except for Tosin, and he's just like, brim, 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 brim. I'm like, what the hell is that, dude? What are you doing? You can't do that.
Sounds like it hurts. Like
Dude. I've sent it to Matt. I'll send you a live video of him doing that.
Oh god,
good dude.
Right.
His hands just melted.
Dude,
so fast. It's just so fast.
He's just sitting there like tapping and stuff. It's like
a squid or a jellyfish, like it's flailing.
I don't think he has bones in there. There's no bones. There's just all cartilage.
The whole song in particular, it just sounds all like a very long guitar solo.
Yeah.
Like it's just all him going off.
Yeah. It's unreal. And you know, they ended up they've done I think like 5 albums at this point. Yeah, they did. I think they did 3 more after this, and it's just they keep this. They just keep it moving, you know. And they like don't tour a whole lot, but their music is just to have like such a strong start. Like the first album's good, you know, whatever. There's a couple really good songs off that, like Kafo or something off that is really good. But this second album, they had no idea what the hell the sophomore slump was. Like, it's just like, nah, this album is going to be the one. And it still is, in my opinion, the best in their discography. Because it's relatively short, and yeah, it goes all over the place, like starting off with an Infinite Regression and then going into Odessa, that really weird, like almost happy, and then it just it starts in like this happy kind of light sound, and then it's just hell. It's like the 7th layer of hell by the end of it. It's like, what happened? And then it just keeps going, and then you get to the very end of the album, and it's David.
which is a cool way to end the album.
Yeah.
It's just like slowed down, and you're just like, what?
It's like you just got punched in the ear hole.
Did the album change a different musician? Like, what happened?
Yeah. Is Spotify doing their recommended shit right now?
What are they doing? Nope.
No.
We're just in the album with David.
Yeah. Because
he's quiet.
Yeah, he's a quiet guy.
He just sits in the corner. He's okay, though.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Just give him some candy.
Yeah. Because it's like you get your mind blown for the whole entirety of the album, and then at the end of it, it's like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
It's over.
You can breathe.
What the hell was that? And then it's just like very light picking and stuff. That was an early favorite for me when I first heard this album. God damn, dude.
In New Eden, I think that song also has like, when you brought this album up and you were like some of the best guitar players, I was like, okay, I want to hear it.
Yeah,
on that song I heard it and I was like, okay,
yeah,
this is probably like some of the most insane guitar playing that I've like heard.
Yeah,
like recently.
Because it's a heavy state. It's like that is a bold statement to make. So I can imagine you were like, all right, Dorian might be full of shit.
I was like, Dorian, okay, you said it, you hyped it up when you brought it up and listening to it. And then I was like, okay, this is good. This is really good. And then New Eden just came on, and I was like, there it goes.
Yeah.
Like, that was it. That was for me. I was like, holy shit. That's like one of the craziest solos I've heard. And then that song just goes so slow.
Yeah.
It just goes so slow. They cut it off. I think it's just guitaring after and just like light drumming. But yeah, I see where you're coming from when you say that.
Yeah.
Because it is just immaculate. Not only that, also even do not go gentle.
Do not go gently.
Do not go gently. Yeah, they don't go gently.
No.
That song, I put that on there like they do not.
They do not. No. It's just, man, and then it kind of has some weird, we've said it a bunch because of but almost like ambient sounding stuff where it doesn't get as aggressive, it's kind of like more soft and just all over the place, like Cylindrical Sea. That song doesn't really get to the point of, say, Isolated Incidents, where it's like, it kind of keeps it kind of holds it in a little bit more.
Yeah.
It doesn't really let out all of that, which is really cool to listen to. And then to lead you to what the fuck is it? What's the full title? To lead you to an overwhelming question, toward the end, that song, it kind of brings it back to that aggression theme, and then Weightless comes in, and then, as we said, it ends up with David. So they kind of develop the sound, go away from it for a little bit, and then go right back to it. And so the way that the album's structured even is really strong, in my opinion.
I like that they kind of hid that in there too, the title track, Weightless.
Kind of buried it.
Yeah, also really good song. The structure on it, I like how they do that. Like, it's like very much in your face the first couple of tracks, and then towards the end they kind of go more down, like not as fast paced.
Yeah.
And they get more like precise with it. Like they're more accurate with their But yeah, man, it's insane. I hadn't heard of these guys.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you brought them up because. Definitely I could see the guitar work, something to like aspire to try to be. Like trying to get that crazy.
Almost made me quit playing music altogether.
Yeah.
Like I'm done.
I was like, how do you beat that? How do you top that?
Yeah.
How do you match that?
Yeah.
But it's cool, just the talent that brought, and something new that I was like, damn.
Yeah. It's
Animals
impressive.
as leaders. Yeah.
Dude, it's impressive. Do we have any wrap up thoughts, or do we want to top 3 it up?
Top it up.
Let's top it up.
Top it up.
I'll start. Honorable mentions for me. Do Not Go Gently, and then this week, or past couple weeks, listening to this to bring it up, Somnarium. Actually, honorable mention for me. Number 3 for me, An Infinite Regression. Just the way that starts out with that opening guitar lick, like once you hear that intro, you're like, oh God, here we go, strap in. Number 2 for me, David. Great way to end the album. For some reason I was obsessed with that song when I heard it back in the day. And the number 1 for me, Isolated Incidents. Does not get better than that.
Yeah.
That song just, where it goes, the way that you kind of travel with that song, it kind of takes you.
It's a good word for it, travel.
Yeah, it takes you some places. So Isolated Incidents.
I think all my favorites were songs you've talked about already, just in general. So it's great. Honorable mentions for me were David and Cylindrical Sea.
Yep.
Just the slowdown and the kind of vibe of both those tracks were great for that album. And then 321 Isolated Incidents, which we've already talked about. Great track. Do Not Go Gently. And then I like the title track, Weightless.
Yeah.
It's my top pick.
Great.
Yeah.
Nice. Honorable mention, Espera.
Yes.
I like that song. Top 3, I'm gonna go Isolated Incidents, Odessa, and then New Eden.
Nice.
Good picks.
Great picks. Well, that was Weightless by Animals as Leaders, released in 2011. That was my pick for this week. We'll be right back to do Matt's favorite part of the podcast and show you guys what we're bringing up next week. It's Whatchu Spinnin, episode 50. All right.
Yes.
Well, it's time to do a little teaser of what's to come next week by letting y'all know what's coming up as far as the content. We go in the order that we talked today, so we'll go ahead.
No, thank you.
We go in the order that we talked about, so to do so, or to kick us off, we'll go with Jacob. What do you got for us?
Yeah.
Jesus fuck, dude. God fucking damn it, Jacob. Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. All right.
I like it.
Yeah,
I
say
like
more.
it. I like it.
Yeah. All right, dude.
Wow.
Actually, this is the last episode. We're
This
not
is
going to
the
be able to
last
talk
one.
about it. Sorry, man.
It's over.
All right. Wow.
That'll be fun.
One word.
I haven't
Wow.
listened to that album in a long time.
Me either.
Wow.
Yes.
You know me, I like our local artists, and so this band, I don't listen to a whole lot of their stuff, but this album is very conceptual. A band called the Decemberists
Ooh.
from 2009 called The Hazards of Love. It's a concept album to its finest, so hope
Nice.
you guys like it.
The Hazards of One.
Love.
Love.
Hell yeah.
Okay, let me just jot that down.
They're based out in Portland, you said?
Yep.
Nice.
Shout out Matt, always bringing up the locals. And for me, I've been really sitting on this one. And you know what? I don't bring up enough hip hop. So I'm going The House is Burning by Isaiah Rashad. His latest album released in 2021. I fucking love this album. So-
Wait, is that signed?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Signed,
Nice,
signed
dude.
copy.
Nice.
House is Burning, Isaiah Rashad. Great stuff. Same, he's on TDE with SZA and Kendrick, so you're already a little familiar with
a
that.
little bit.
But yeah, golly, dude, Lauryn Hill, Decemberists, and Isaiah Rashad. I'm stoked. That's gonna be good. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. We truly appreciate it, especially if you've been here if this isn't your first time. We appreciate that. If it is your first time, stick around, throw a subscribe up, like, whatever, comment. Anyways, this has been episode 50 of Whatchu Spinnin' Instrumental Day Part 2. We'll be back next time. Whatchu Spinnin'.
See ya.